Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Martinez. Let me tell you a bit about my life. I'm a 32-year-old nurse, and I used to love my job. Well, I did. More on that later. I've been married to my amazing husband, Michael, for 5 years now. We have this cute little house in the suburbs. Nothing extravagant, but it's ours. Michael and I have always been close to his family, especially his mom, Evelyn. From day one, she treated me like a daughter, always inviting us over for Sunday dinners, checking in regularly, just being there. Life was great. I was excelling at work, on track for a big promotion at the hospital, and Michael's job was steady. We were even talking about starting a family. Everything seemed perfect. And then, everything changed. It was a Tuesday, and I had just finished a long shift. I was looking forward to a quiet evening with Michael when his phone rang. It was Evelyn, and she was hysterical. "Michael, honey, it's bad news. The doctor says I'm sick, really sick." I saw the color drain from Michael's face as he listened. When he hung up, he turned to me with tears in his eyes. "Jess, Mom's got some rare disease. The doctors don't know how long she has. She's going to need constant care." My heart sank. Evelyn, who had always been so full of life, was now gravely ill. Without thinking, I blurted out, "I'll take care of her. I'll quit my job. We can move her in with us." Michael was stunned. "Are you sure? That's a huge sacrifice." "Jess." I nodded. "She's family. We take care of family." So that's what we did. I gave my notice at the hospital, saying goodbye to my promotion, and within a week, we moved Evelyn into our home. We converted the home office into a bedroom for her, and suddenly, my life became all about her care. At first, it was chaos. Administering medications, helping her to the bathroom, trying to keep the house running. I was exhausted, but I kept telling myself it was worth it. This was what family did for each other. But then little things started to feel off. One morning, I heard Evelyn in the kitchen, rummaging through the fridge. When I walked in, she quickly sat down, looking frail and pale. "Oh, Jessica dear, I was just so thirsty. I didn't want to bother you," she said, but just seconds earlier, I could have sworn I saw her lifting the heavy milk jug without any trouble. Another time, I caught her laughing loudly while watching her soap operas. But the moment she noticed me, she muted the TV and put on her usual pained expression. At first, I brushed it off. This was Evelyn, kind, loving Evelyn. Why would she fake an illness? But as the days turned into weeks, my doubts grew. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. One morning, I walked into the kitchen to find Evelyn, of all things, doing jumping jacks. "Evelyn, what are you doing?" I asked, shocked. She froze mid-jump, then clutched her chest dramatically. "Oh, Jessica, I was just trying to get my blood flowing. The doctor said light exercise might help." I raised an eyebrow. "Jumping jacks are light exercise?" She coughed weakly. "I may have overdone it. Could you help me back to bed?" I bit my tongue and helped her, but my mind was racing. This wasn't the first time I'd caught her doing something that didn't fit with her illness. Just yesterday, I heard her belting out Sweet Caroline in the shower, only for her to emerge a few minutes later, wheezing and leaning heavily on her walker. That evening, I called my best friend, Rachel. "Rach, I think I'm losing my mind. Evelyn's sick, but then she's not. I don't know what to believe anymore." "Jess, honey, you're not crazy. Something fishy is definitely going on. Why don't you set up some hidden cameras and catch her in the act?" I sighed. "I can't do that. It feels wrong, like I'm invading her privacy." "Well, you gotta do something. This is eating you up." Rachel was right. The stress was getting to me. Michael and I were arguing more, mostly about money. I had quit my job to care for Evelyn, and our savings were running out fast. "Michael, we need to talk about your mom," I said one night after dinner. He rubbed his temples, clearly frustrated. "What now, Jess? You promised you'd stop with the conspiracy theories." "They're not theories, Michael. I know what I've seen. Your mom is." "Enough." He slammed his hand on the table. "My mother is sick. Why can't you just accept that and take care of her like you promised?" Tears stung my eyes as I stormed off. How could he not see what was happening? The next day, I was folding laundry when I overheard Evelyn on the phone in her room. "Oh, Patty, you should see Jessica running around like a maid. She's at my beck and call. The plan is working perfectly." I froze, my heart pounding. "Plan? What plan?" Yes, I know. Don't worry, sister. Soon enough, I'll prove to Michael that she's not good enough for him. He'll see that no one can care for him like his mother. I dropped the laundry basket, my mind racing. This whole thing had been a setup. She was trying to destroy my marriage. I needed proof, concrete evidence. That's when I remembered my old colleague, Dr. Anderson. He owed me a favor after I covered his shifts last Christmas. My hands shook as I dialed his number. Hey, Dr. A, it's Jessica Martinez. I need a huge favor. Can you look into some medical records for me? It's for my mother-in-law. Jessica, this sounds serious. What's going on? I took a deep breath and told him everything. The inconsistent symptoms, the phone call I'd overheard, and my suspicions. Jess, what you're suggesting is a serious accusation. Are you sure? That's why I need your help, Doc. I need to know if her medical records match up with what she's claiming. Can you do that for me? There was a long pause on the other end. Finally, he sighed. All right, Jessica, send me what you have. But be careful. If you're right, this could tear your family apart. As I hung up, I heard Evelyn calling from her room. Jessica, dear, could you bring me some tea? And maybe read to me for a while? I'm feeling so weak today. I clenched my fists, forcing a smile into my voice. Coming, Evelyn. This ends now, I thought. One way or another, I'm getting to the bottom of this. Days later, an email from Dr. Anderson appeared in my inbox. My hands shook as I opened it. The medical records confirmed it. Evelyn was faking everything. Taking a deep breath, I marched to her room. Evelyn, we need to talk. She looked up from her book, feigning innocence. What is it, dear? I thrust the papers at her. Care to explain this? Your medical records show no illness. You've been lying this whole time. Her face crumpled for a second, then hardened. So you've been snooping, have you? I always knew you were trouble. Me? You've been faking an illness for months. Why, Evelyn? She stood up, her frail act vanishing. Why? Because you're not good enough for my Michael. I had to prove it. Prove what? That I'd sacrifice everything to care for you. No, that you fail, that you'd crack under the pressure and leave him. But you just wouldn't give up, would you? I was stunned. You did all this to break us up. My son deserves better than a nurse who can barely keep up with his family's standards. Standards? You mean lying and manipulation? Just then, Michael walked in. What's going on here? He asked, confused. Evelyn immediately switched back to her sick voice. Oh, Michael, Jessica is being so cruel to me. I turned to him, my voice shaking. Michael, your mother's been faking her illness. I have proof. He looked between us, torn. Mom, is this true? Evelyn's facade cracked. I did it for you, sweetie, to show you she's not right for our family. Michael's face paled. You've been lying this whole time. I handed him the medical records. See for yourself. As he read through them, Evelyn tried to backpedal. It was just a little test, darling, to make sure she was worthy of you. Michael's voice was low and dangerous. A test? You made Jessica quit her job. We've been struggling financially. Offer a test. Now, Michael, let's not overreact. Overreact. I cut in. You've been torturing us for months. At that moment, Michael's brother Tom burst into the room. What's all the shouting about? Michael turned to him. Did you know about this? That Mom's been faking her illness? Tom looked guilty. I might have heard something. You knew and didn't say anything. I asked, disbelief flooding me. Tom held up his hands defensively. Hey, Mom said it was for the good of the family. Michael exploded. The good of the family? Look at what it's done to us. As the argument escalated between Michael and Tom, Evelyn stood there, looking defeated. I felt the weight of it all crashing down on me. This was too much. I can't be here right now, I mumbled, heading for the door. Michael reached out. Jess, wait. But I was already gone, grabbing my keys and rushing out to my car. As I drove away, I saw Michael in the rearview mirror, standing in the driveway, looking lost and broken. I ended up at a small motel on the edge of town. The room was dingy, with a lumpy bed, but it was quiet, something I desperately needed. My phone buzzed with messages. One from Michael, please come home, we need to talk. Another from Evelyn, I'm sorry, dear. I went too far, and one from Tom, you're tearing this family apart. I turned off my phone and laid back, staring at the ceiling. How had my life become such a mess? And where do I even go from here? After a week at the motel, I finally decided to return home. The house felt different, tense, quieter without Evelyn's constant demands. Michael and I sat down for a long, painful conversation. I've applied for a job at Mercy General in the city, I told him. I need to get back to nursing, to helping people who actually need it. Michael nodded, looking worn out. I understand. I've started seeing a therapist to deal with everything Mom did. We agreed to give our marriage another chance, but it wasn't easy. The trust between us had been shattered, not just because of Evelyn's lies, but because we had both let our relationship fall apart. Rebuilding was going to take time, patience, and a lot of work. A month later, I got the job at Mercy General. Slipping back into my scrubs felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been missing. I was helping people again, making a real difference. One evening, as I was leaving the hospital, I ran into Evelyn in the parking lot. Jessica, please, can we talk? I shook my head. There's nothing left to say, Evelyn. She looked desperate. I'm truly sorry. I never meant for things to go this far. But you did let it go that far. You were willing to destroy your son's marriage and my career for your own selfish reasons. I can't forgive that. As I drove away, I saw her slumped figure in my rear-view mirror. I felt a twinge of pity, but I knew I'd made the right decision. At home, Michael and I began talking about moving. We both wanted a fresh start, away from the shadow of Evelyn's betrayal. We found a charming little house closer to the city, near my new job. While packing up our old place, Michael's phone rang. After hanging up, he looked at me in disbelief. You're not going to believe this. Mom's been arrested for insurance fraud. I stared at him. What? Apparently, one of her old friends saw her out shopping and reported her. She's been claiming benefits for her illness, and the insurance company investigated. Turns out, they found out everything. How do you feel about it? I asked, cautiously. He sighed, looking conflicted. Honestly, relieved. Maybe now she'll finally face the consequences. A few months later, as Michael and I were celebrating my promotion to head nurse over dinner, we got the news. Evelyn had been sentenced to community service in order to pay back all the fraudulent claims. To new beginnings, Michael said, raising his glass. I smiled and clinked my glass against his. Karma, I added with a small smile. As we left the restaurant hand in hand, I realized that sometimes the hardest challenges lead to the most important growth. We had been through hell, but we come out stronger on the other side. As for Evelyn, she'd made her bed, and now she had to lie in it, for real this time. What would you have done if you were in Jessica's shoes? Would you have confronted Evelyn earlier or handled the situation differently? This story touches on complex issues of family loyalty, trust, and personal boundaries. There's no easy answer, which makes it such a compelling dilemma to consider. If you found this story engaging, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Share your thoughts below on how you would navigate such a challenging family situation. Let's keep the conversation going.